All right. I might ask you to accept the recording. So today's training is on AvidXChange, which is our accounts payable software that we use to process invoices for your association vendors. And then the second thing we're going to try to get to today, Avid's going to probably take us at least an hour. And then I'm going to go through some of the highlights of the CMI web portal for your association. We'll go through kind of all of that in a nutshell. I'm going to be sharing my screen for most of the presentation, so I'm not going to be able to see all of your wonderful faces. But if you have a question, please feel free to throw it in the chat or raise your hand, or you can interrupt me either way. You can ask questions throughout. You don't need to wait till the end because especially with reviewing the software, sometimes the question is going to be on that screen that I'm on. So don't be scared to interrupt me. I am all for it. So we're going to start with Avid, and I'm going to put Avid up on the screen. And so I just need to move y'all because you're in the middle of my screen. Okay. All right. So the first thing I want to talk about a little bit in terms of Avid is we have different roles for different board members and committee members. So we do have several associations that have finance committee members that are in Avid and can view invoices in Avid. Honestly, anybody in the association can have access and view invoices as long as the board is okay with it. Because there's nothing in the system that they can't see, if that makes any sense. All of your invoices are considered to be a record of your association and something that homeowners have access to if they want them. Now, I can limit what they can see and how they can see it, if that makes any sense. And so the main two roles that we have in this system, actually there's three, is we have a viewer, which means you can view all of your association invoices. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how to do that, because when you log in, this is the screen that you'll see. Now, some have invoices in this screen and some do not have invoices. Laura, are all your invoices coded? Oh, they're not. Okay, let me see if I can find someone who is. My assistant. Oh, even Michelle has an invoice. Oh, hold on, this I can get rid of really quickly. Don't mind me. I'm just gonna run around, do things really fast. Okay, so when you log in as a viewer, this is what you see, and you go in, there's no invoices. Where are all the invoices? You actually will find your invoices as a viewer through the search field. So this is what is called the pending approval queue. So if you're an approver for the association, you will have invoices pending your approval in the approval queue. And then you'll see right over here on the top, you actually have two separate queues. One is pending approval and the other is disputed. And I will show you later how to dispute an invoice, but just know that you have different queues. And then I don't know if you could see this little thing right here, a little circle with a 0 in it. That will tell you how many invoices are in your queue. So if you have disputed and you have like 1 or 2 here, that means that you have 1 or 2 invoices in your disputed queue. You just want to keep an eye on those disputed invoices so that you know, they don't go too long to be disputed. And we'll talk a little bit more about when to dispute and maybe when not to dispute. But this is kind of the main frame. I have the ability to jump around to different people. You don't have that ability, but that's what I was doing just a minute ago. Over here, you have this taskbar. You don't have access to everything on this taskbar. You'll only have access to invoice, admin, and ideas. Oh, and info, sorry, and info. So info is kind of like your online help thing. Honestly, it might be better to ask me for help because we do use the software slightly different than some of the help videos I've seen. A lot of them are a little bit more for me as an administrator than they are for you as a user. But either myself or the manager of your community should be able to walk you through most of the site without you necessarily needing a help video. Ideas, I was telling you that we send a lot of ideas to Avid. That's how you can do it. You can even do it too if you wanted. You have an idea, Dave, on how to maybe make Avid a little bit better. They take them all the time. Now, they don't guarantee they're going to do anything, but they do have that option to submit ideas. So if you ever have one, feel free to do so. Like I do it often. And then these other ones, we're actually getting rid of this one up here so you don't see it anymore, are things that we use. You don't have access to them. If you click on them, it will just kind of say no information available. But invoice is the most popular one. I only bring up all of the different little things on the side so that you realize that invoice is the one you want to be on. And then over here on the top, you got high is this little magnifying glass. This is where you can search all of your invoices. And I'm actually going to start there. I normally start my training a different way, but today we're going to start with search. So as a viewer or even an approver, if you wanted to see your invoices that have already been approved and that are no longer in your queue, this would be where you can search all your invoices. You can search by invoice number if you like. It's pretty rare that you have the invoice number unless you have the email from Avid that has the comment that somebody has made to you. That's pretty much one of the only times you have the invoice number, unless you've gotten the invoice previously and new. Yes, Crystal.
Hi, just a quick question. If there are multiple people in the system approving invoices, if person 1 approves it, would person 2 still see that it was active or no?
No, the minute that it leaves the approval queue, it is gone. You will no longer see it in the approval queue, no matter who approved it.
Okay,
and that's one of the things to know if you have multiple approvers for your association, except in the case if you are required to have 2 approvers or have 2 approvers over a certain amount, then we set you up as board approver 1 and board approver 2. So if board approver 1 approves the invoice, then it goes to board approver 2's queue. But if you're all set up to approve invoices on just a singular level, then yeah, the minute the invoice is approved, it goes to the next person in the workflow, which I will show you when we get into an invoice what that means.
I have a quick question. This is Carolyn.
Yes, Carolyn.
I don't see any place to put my hand up. This is the screen that I was told to go to see invoices that I wanted to maybe determine they're okay. I thought I heard you say that what I'll see here is invoices that have already been paid.
This will be invoices at any stage in the software.
Oh, okay.
Whether they've been approved, they're pending approval, or they're barely in and haven't even been sorted yet.
Good.
This is where you'll see everything that has entered our software.
Including something that may have been 2 years ago.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
So the software goes back 7 years, but we actually started with it Avid in December of 2016. So that's as far back as our electronic records go. So we still have a few years before we reach the inactive point. And then when we do, us administrators of Avid, because there's a couple of us, myself and Denise and our CFO, Susan, have the ability to access archived or inactive invoices. So even when we get to the point where we have 7 years of data, we still can reach back a little bit further. Just take some help. So invoice number over here to status, this is where you can kind of select if you want to just see fully approved invoices, if you want to see all the disputed invoices, if you want to see all of the invoices pending approval. If you see pending approval unmanaged, that's me and my bad. So don't look at that one. And then pending workflow assignment, that's what I mean. The ones that are just coming in, they're just getting started, and then voided invoices. Now, when something enters our system, whether right or wrong, there's no way to delete it. So you will see from time to time voided invoices. And that's because we don't have the ability to delete anything from the software, which is kind of one of our fraud protection mechanisms, is the ability to, we cannot alter or delete anything from the software. We can update certain categories, but we can't actually remove anything, and we cannot remove the digital footprint at all. So that's kind of the status. I use it a lot when I'm trying to check on certain associations to see if they have invoices that are pending approval. I also know that some of our board members use that to check on us to see if we have any pending approval. Supplier, a better word for supplier would be vendor. So these would be the name of your vendor. And if you weren't here earlier, Dave was talking about how you have to be very precise with the name of the vendor. So Northwest, is it spelled out or is it abbreviated? The name that we use in the system is the name that they have on their W-9. And so if they've spelled it out on the W-9, then that's how they're entered into the system. So if you're having trouble trying to find a vendor, you can reach out to the manager or you can reach out to me anytime, and we can try to help you figure out how the name of the vendor is spelled. Dave said something earlier that I thought was pretty handy, is he hangs on to the emails that the approvers get with the name of the vendor, the invoice number, so that if he ever needed to look up a vendor later, he can try to check the spelling on those emails. I thought that was actually pretty cool. I never thought of that. So supplier, next to supplier is supplier account number. So we have a digital, it's a 5-digit number assigned to every one of our vendors. And I don't know if there's a list of that exists anywhere. I assume my accounting team has one. But we have them all in our FullFocus software, which I'll show you when we get to the web portal. And so we can pull that number up for you. Unfortunately, the web portal won't, because it's a different level of our software. But if you ever wanted the supplier account number, we can give that to you. Community, unless you have multiple communities with us that you are in Avid for, which I do know we have quite a few board approvers that have approval for multiple communities, you don't necessarily need to put in the name of the community when you're doing a search. You have to fill out at least one criteria in order for the search to work, but you shouldn't have to add your community. I know that some do. So if you're having a problem searching or it's telling you or there are no results, try adding the community and see if that helps it work. Ordered by is not a category that we use because we do not use the order system in AvidXChange. And so don't worry about that one. Invoice type we do use. We have standard and utility. So this could be this could be helpful when you are trying to maybe pull up all of your utility invoices. So if you wanted water, sewer, gas, electric, phone, those all fall under utility. So you can pull up all of your utilities. We don't do auto pay. And then invoice date. So this is the physical date of the invoice, and you can do a custom range or you can select from their options. Same thing with the due date. This is the day the invoice was due. Again, same options. Creation date is the day it was created into Avid. And batch status we use, but it won't make any sense to you. It's not something that will help you in a search situation. So you don't need that one. PO number we do use, but it's that crazy long work order number that like starts with your property number and then there's random letters and numbers and dates and everything like that. And then I have someone, if you could mute Zoom user, I'm trying to do it for you, but.
Is it me?
I don't know. Let me
Yes.
look. I
Okay.
think so. Thank you. There you go. I was able to mute you. Thanks. You don't have to be on mute, but if you have background noise, if you could mute when you have the background noise, that'd be great. Okay, so we are on PO number total. So this is the amount of the invoice. You can run a range if you want, so lower to higher of invoices between this dollar amount and that dollar amount. I've used this to kind of help find invoices where I don't know the vendor, but I know it was $492 to kind of help remember who that vendor was. I've also used it to try to find expenses that were maybe over a certain dollar amount to try to figure out if there was any coding issues, or just to kind of see where the high dollars are being spent. I know that that's something for managers. I always kind of tell them it's a way when you're reviewing the financial statement to kind of take a look at some of the larger expenses and see what's maybe creating some of those budget overages. Workflow, while we use it, it's not going to be helpful in a search situation because your association only has one workflow. So if you had multiple ones, this would be a way that you could search by workflow, but you don't have that. This is my favorite item of search criteria. It's one I use pretty much every day. I think I used it 4 times today, and it's enterprise code group. And this is a very, very important one if you are looking for invoices that are coded to a very specific expense code. So if you're trying to figure out why property maintenance 6690 is over budget because everything seems to fall in 6690, and you just kind of want to figure it out, the best way to look for those invoices is going to be in Avid and using this enterprise code group. So if you just start typing in account code, and sorry, my autofill kind of blocks it. You want to select this one right here that says accounting code property. Accounting code property. It's going to add a new field called enterprise code value. And here you can search for specific invoices. Now I pick on this association every time that I do training, so I'm going to continue to do that. So I can look for a particular code. Now you see that there are 3 parts to this code. The first few numbers, it will be between 1 and 3 depending on your property number, is the property identification code we give all of our associations. You probably have seen it and never realized what it was, or some of you have asked us what it is. We can always give that to you if you don't have it and want to know it. But I'll also show you where you can see it as well. The next set of numbers is always 2 digits, and you have to put the dashes in there. That's very important. Formatting in Avid is very important. So we call this the department. It's also referred to as a side, or most commonly, if you're a little account savvy, is called a fund. So you have several funds. Mostly you have an operating fund and you have a reserve fund. Some associations are special and they have more, and you know who you are. If you don't know if you have extra funds or not, just ask. So operating is always 10 and reserve is always 20. So when you're reviewing codes, that's kind of a way to let you know where the money is coming from. Is it coming from your operating account or is it coming from your reserve? That's where the 10 comes into play. And then the last 4 digits is the expense line item, or the what we call the line item, the account code. And this will be reflected on your financial statement. If you're reviewing the financial statement, you have in the middle of the income statement is a list of all of your accounts and codes. Another place that this is available is also the budget, which I know all of you just recently did in the last few months. You would have all of the codes listed on your budget as well. And you can do a range. So you have your lower code here and a higher code here, and you can run everything between that. Now I will say it's everything between that. So if you're running from 6690 to 7690, which is landscape miscellaneous, you're going to get everything in between. So if you want like 2 codes, then I would run 2 searches. It's a little bit easier for you to wade through all of the different codes.
Boy, that would have been good for me to know a long time ago.
I'm sorry, Tracy.
Yeah, I've always wanted to figure out how to run something for one account code.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's great.
enterprise code group. That's, like I said, it's my favorite.
Yep.
Posting date. So this is something new that Avid recently added. So some of you that may have remembered this platform from almost a year ago, this didn't used to be here. I haven't quite figured out if it works not or yet or anything. So in theory, it's supposed to be the date that the payment posted to the account. It doesn't seem to work, so I wouldn't necessarily use that. I'll show you a better way to look it up. And then approver. So you can look and see who, when you're doing for invoices that are pending approval, you can see which approver has what invoice, if that makes sense. So for example, Tracy, I'm going to pick on you. I can look up Tracy and see what invoices Tracy has pending approval. 0, as expected. She's on top of it. All right. So I'm going to run this quick search right here because I want to show you a great way to run a report in Avid. So I'm going to just run the search. You can also save your searches, by the way. If you have one that you run often and you want to just like update the run, you can actually save the search criteria and pull it up as a favorite kind of. I haven't really found the need of that yet, but I know you can do it.
How would you pull it up once you save it?
It shows up right under here. I don't have any saved, but I've seen, I went through the training and so I've seen it, and yeah, it just shows up right down here. It's just something you can click and then it populates all of the search criteria for you. Okay, so I ran a search. Now let's say that I want to kind of gather some details of some of the invoices that I ran in my search and maybe extract copies of the invoice and maybe even a summary of all of those invoices. So if I wanted everything that was included on this page, which this page will encapsulate 100 invoices. So there are multiple pages. So if, as you see here, my search results got me 133. So if I wanted all 133, I gotta do 2 separate runs in order to get them all. But I'm only going to select a couple, but if you wanted to select them all, you just click this little box up here at the top, or if you accidentally click that box, you can just unclick it. It's very easy. And so I'm just going to select a few just to get us going here. And then over here, you'll see this thing called create a report. Now, before I do that, I'm going to tell you about the export to Excel. Don't use it. I mean, if you want to, you can, but it's going to give you probably about 200 different columns, and it's not going to be worth your time. I'm going to show you through the creator report a way to easily pull up a report that gives you a good snapshot of information without all the headache of trying to delete all those cells. And that's this creator report. When you create a report, you have several different options that you can choose. My favorite is the summary and then images of the invoice, because that typically ends up being what I need the most, because I want to see, you know, these certain invoices, and I'll show you what the summary does, which I love. And then be actually to see the invoices or be able to give it to a report to someone of, you know, this is what we paid for the plumbing project. This is what we paid for, you know, I can put it all together in one little package through this creator report and searches in Avid. So I can do images. Line item would be the amount of the invoice. Payment details would be just that, if it's been paid, if it's cleared, how it was paid. The header is all of the generic information, the vendor, the association, all of the dates and everything. Accounting distribution is going to be those account codes. And then history is every single entry that was done to that invoice. All of the touches would be listed out for you. It's intense. I haven't found a use for history yet, but in the report setting. But this is my favorite report. So the summary and then images of the invoice, and then I'll accept it and it will run the report. It's actually pretty fast. When you're running hundreds of invoices at a time. It takes a minute. Just kind of depends on your computer. I know for mine, sometimes it takes a hot moment, but yeah, and then it will open right up when it's done. And I will show you, or maybe it won't open when it's done.
So is
see.
this what I would do when I want to know what an invoice is for?
This is what you would want to do. So if you wanted for what an invoice is for, you would just go into the invoice. Let's say you wanted to show the board kind of a summary and all of the invoices associated with your building project that you have going on. This would be a way where you could pull all of those invoices into one report and kind of show everyone that information. Because you'll see here, the summary will list all the invoice number, the supplier, the date of the invoice, the property, and then the amount. And this is, like I said, my favorite part. It totals it for you. I love that. And then we can go through the rest of this and we can see copies of the invoices, and you can have all of that backup detail for, you know, your summary, which is great. Now, Carolyn, what you asked is, let's go into an invoice. And Carolyn, let's go ahead and just pick on your association. Why not?
227.
That's the other thing too. Thank you, Carolyn. You can actually type in your association number and it will pull up too.
I didn't know that. That's good
I
to
know. Hey, and you can actually, for both the supplier and community, I mean, this is only going to be for a handful of people that need multiple communities, but for supplier, you can select up to 3 vendors. So if you're not sure which tree company it is, you can pick a few of them and look it up. So who do you want to pick on? You want to do our service division? We can do that.
Yes, that would be good.
All right. I'm going to assume it's this invoice right here. So let me go back. I did that really fast. To get into an invoice, both on the pending approval queue side and on the search side, you just click the little link that's the invoice number.
And I've done that.
And then it takes you to this field right here. Now, mine is a little, oops. Zoomed in. Okay, it doesn't want to change. All right, so I'm just going to go through all of this, and then Carolyn, I might even answer your question. So,
Can
first thing,
can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Sarah?
sure.
I've been having an issue when I go into the invoices here. I get a red line across the top that says unexpected server response. And it happens a lot.
Yes, that has been an issue with Avid this week. I actually had a meeting with them today and they are working on it. They did give me a couple of helpful tips and tricks that I got out to the managers and asked that they, you know, as a way to help troubleshoot. But yeah, the main thing that they're suggesting that might work is if you clear your cache.
Okay.
So if you do Control F4 while you're on the screen, that should clear your cache. And then you might have to restart Avid. I have seen where sometimes I'll exit the invoice and go back to the pending approval queue and then back into the invoice and it will work.
Yep.
So I've just been kind of, we've been dealing with it too. It's a little bit of a interesting thing with their software right now, but it's happened before and they typically fix it pretty quick. So they didn't have an ETA for me today, but they did tell me it's their #1 priority right now. So, because it's very hard to approve something if you can't see it.
Great. Thanks.
Yes. A good point. Okay, so I was just talking about flipping back and forth between going from the pending approval queue to an invoice. You can do that one of 2 ways for board approvers. You can press the little house button. It will take you home, take you to the home page. We'll go back here. Or you can press, if we go, we're going to go into this invoice. If we go into the invoice, see it's taking forever to load. Yeah. We can press invoice over here on the side. It will also take us back to the home page. So if you're in the search and you want to go back to your pending approval queue, you can do that by pressing invoice.
Can we look at that invoice you had up for
Yes.
CMI?
Yes, Carolyn.
Um,
If I can tell you what it's about, I will, but for right now, I do want to just kind of go through the site if that's okay.
I was just wondering, can you scroll up on the invoice itself? Yes, that's good.
Now, this one's
So-
just for janitorial services.
But does that mean it's $570 a month, a week?
This would be a month. It's for the month of November.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
While we're on this, another thing that I always look at is the comments tab and see if it's got if it's 0 or whether they've got comments.
Look at you, Dave, jumping ahead of the game. Yes.
Oh, you're sorry.
That is a correct statement. And I'll show you some of the comments to look out for too. So that's what I went over before, was just kind of flipping back and forth between pages. Now here, the header information, this is where you'll see the invoice number, the invoice amount, all of the dates, the supplier, so your vendor, your community, and then the rest of this we kind of leave blank. So don't worry about that. When I'm training our team, I always tell them to double check and make sure you're paying the right supplier, because there are so many companies that have very similar names, and our data entry is done by AvidXChange. And so it's very easy sometimes for them to put in an extra letter and maybe do the wrong vendor. I've seen that happen quite a bit. We try to catch that on the management team side, because when I get to work for, I'll explain it, but there are quite a few people that see it before you do. So in theory, we should have caught it. But still, I mean, the more eyes that we have on the same things, the better that we can be about catching some of those errors, including associations. We have 3 Brooksides. So, and we have a Tanis Brook and a Tanis Bourne. Those get mixed up a lot. And so there are some names out there that are in triplicate, duplicate, and yeah. So I mean, just something to look for if you want. Like I said, we do it too, and then we even have a further step past you that looks at it too. So there are a lot of eyes on these invoices. So this information over here at the top, I'm going to do first. You won't be able to swap images, but if you've noticed that, like, you get an updated invoice and you want to update it, the management team can swap that for you instead of just resubmitting it to Avid. But I wouldn't worry too much about that. A lot of that gets done before it gets to you. Now,
So Carra, what does pending approval mean?
pending approval means that it is in some part of the workflow, whether it be the management team, the board, or our accounting staff.
Okay.
It's somewhere in the workflow. It is approved once it has gone through every single person in the workflow. And in fact, we'll go there right now.
Okay.
So this little tab workflow shows you where the invoice is. So who has it? This one's pending approval, and it's been approved by everybody, and it's sitting to be paid by our accounting team. So they're going to be the last ones to process it. So you'll see with this one here, let me pull this up a little bit.
Okay.
It starts with the assistant, and almost, I would say 99.9% of all of our workflows start this way. They start with the assistant, they go to the manager, and then depending on your workflow, this particular one, we sign their invoices. So it goes to Denise Bauer, who's the president of CMI. And then if it's over 15,000, it either goes to Susan, our CFO, or myself to just double check and make sure there's nothing crazy going on, because it is of such a large value. And then the very last person always is our accounting team. And they're the ones that will release the payment, review it, release it to be paid, and then export it into our accounting software. So as you see, invoices can touch a lot of people, and this go through a lot of different people in order to get processed, which is why we ask our team to try to process invoices daily so that you're getting them not all in one fell swoop. I know that we've had some issues of getting that done, but we're working really hard to try to make sure that you're getting them daily. We do check runs on the 9th and 24th. So you may recall, as a board approver, you get a nice little email from Liang reminding you that it's time for approval. We also do, oh, Tracy, I'll find out why you don't have it, but we also do interim check runs for utilities and insurance only. And so my suggestion is approve it, make sure that you're approving no later than the 9th and the 24th. And I would do it later in the day because we're in the software throughout the day trying to push invoices through, because a lot of our vendors know that our cutoff is the 9th and the 24th. And sometimes they like to wait until the last minute to get them processed.
So did you say the check runs are on the 9th and the 24th? I thought they were on the 10th.
That's
and the 25th.
the cutoff. The cutoff is the 9th and the 24th, and it's the end of the day on the 9th and the end of the day on the 24th. We start processing checks on the 10th and the 25th. Now, by processing, I mean literally that we process them. They don't necessarily get cut that following day. They could be cut anytime after the 10th and the 25th. We typically say between 1 to 4 days after the 9th and the 24th. Just kind of depends on where we are in the week, because sometimes the weekend pops up in there and we have to wait until the next business day. So it just kind of depends. But for you as a board approver, the 9th and the 24th are your days. I would also make sure that if you're checking by Wednesday of each week to approve any utility and insurance bills, because we do interim check runs for those particular items to try to make sure that we're not getting any late fees or anything like that. Because utilities are kind of the worst for getting late fees.
So it was utilities and what?
Insurance.
Insurance. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so back with this section here, we'll continue. Distribution. So we have this is where the accounting codes and, coding the invoice in accordance with your budget. So when you're reviewing the invoice, I highly suggest you review this area to just kind of make sure it's coded where you want it to be coded. And if you're not sure, you can always check your financial statement or your budget, or you can ask us for questions. We try to do the best that we can to make sure that we're following pretty consistently with what you've done before or in accordance to your budget. The line item is just the value of the invoice. Attachments. We don't use this too often, but every once in a while you might find something attached to an invoice. You as a board approver or even as a viewer have the ability to attach anything to an invoice. So if you wanted to keep something with an invoice for a record that you want forever and ever, that can be done. You just have to upload the file. It's pretty easy. It's like uploading any other file. But if you aren't tech savvy and aren't sure, you just send it to us and we can upload it for you. It's super easy. Comments, which Dave spoke to earlier. I'm going to pull up an invoice that actually has comments in it so we can see that a little bit more. Let me see if I can find one. Tracy, should we pick on you now?
Sure. There's one for Claudia. Wait.
Claudia. Not Gail.
No.
You have comments in Claudia's?
Yes.
There she is. All right.
Hey, Carra,
Yes.
real quick for Gary Gutierrez. He's wondering where he can find the link for this recording later.
It will be on CMI's website.
Thank you.
There's a board training little bubble on CMI's website. You can just click there and it will be available. Last time we emailed it out, and I believe Laura will probably do that again. I think we emailed it out, right, Laura? Yeah, she'll email it out. Great. All right, so here are some comments. So one of the things that I will say with comments is they can be seen by everybody. So as I like to say, keep it clean. If you can. I understand frustrations happen and things like that, but it is something that can be seen throughout. And so I always remind my team to just be wary of that. And we can't edit them. Once they've been made, they are made. There's no way to get it undone. So just be cautious of that.
So is there a process that when I ask for a change like this, Daniel used to send me an email back saying that it had been done. Is that something that? the
Well, it looks like
manager should be doing?
Tiara did, but it doesn't look like she included you. So
Right.
we can, that we can do as a spot training and just have Tiara include you next time.
Okay, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
But yeah, so you do have to select who you want to send a comment to. So if I wanted to send a comment to Tracy, I can just start by typing her name and then select from the two Tracys.
Yep.
And then I can CC somebody else, or I can add more people to the two. There's not really too much of a limit. I bet there is, but I've never reached it. And I've sent comments to, I think, at least 10 people at one time. And then you can copy yourself if you want to copy for future reference. And then you can kind of put anything else in here. There you go. You got a comment.
Thank you.
I
And then
would
you'll
assume this kind of detail is for people who are going to approve them rather than me who's just going to view them.
No, Carolyn, you can do this too. So like that invoice that you have a question on and you're not really sure, you can log a comment to Caleb and ask him for more detail. And then it's a record within that invoice of him giving you that detail. So that detail will always live with that invoice and you'll be able to refer back to it if you ever wonder, well, wait a minute, what was this for? Oh, wait, there's a comment. Like Dave said, look at the comments. And you can refer back to it and then you have all the information there.
Or I can just tell the board that I already have a big enough job with our construction project. I'm not going to do it, so too bad.
That too, that too, that too. History. So history, this is what I was talking about, that digital footprint. This is every step the invoice has taken, everything that has been done to this invoice. When it was done, it is time stamped. And who approved when and when. I mean, look, here's my comment that I made. So we can see that I made that comment at that time and what it was and who it was to. I can still see, even though it's here, I can still see it in the history too. So that's that, you know, can't edit it, undeletable footprint of the invoice that holds all the secrets. All right, now here at the top, associated invoice. And I already told you, this is one of my other favorite things about Avid, is the associated invoice. So let's say you wanted to find a PGE bill. In fact, let's go to, actually, I think I had a CenturyLink bill here. Yeah, okay. Let's use this one. I don't think they're on here, but we're going to use them anyways. So if there is an account number listed here, we can find all of the associated invoices relative to that account number. That's very important. It has to have the account number. If it doesn't have the account number, it's going to give you everything related to the vendor. Might be your association, might not be your association. It's just going to be related to that vendor. So having that customer account number is kind of the trick of making associated invoices work. And unfortunately, we don't always put in an account number for every vendor, but you will see it very consistently with utilities. So utilities is the best one, and it's typically the one that most people use this for. So I can jump around to the October, September, and I know for me, I have it set up to open in another window, which is kind of handy. And so you'll see it open up in another window. We use this as a mechanism to help our team in terms of coding invoices, to use how it was previously coded to help you code it moving forward. So that's kind of what we use it for. And that might be helpful to you as a board member to kind of get a picture of, you know, how the coding has been going, if you want. Also to kind of find if you see that there's a past due on the invoice. So like if there was a balance forward, I do ask my team that if there is a balance forward, that they log a comment with the information of why there's a balance forward. You know, has it been paid? Is it in transit? Is it been paid but hasn't cleared yet? Or has it cleared and it just crossed in the mail? Something so that, you know, our team knows, but so that you know as well as an approver, has that been addressed? Because there have been occasions where things have gone missing in the mail or in the internet, and it's a good way for us to kind of triple check that your utility bills, at least for the most part, because normal other bills don't have balances forward, are being paid. So save would be if you made any changes. The only thing that you can change in the software is if to add an attachment, because even when you log a comment, it automatically saves. So you don't really need to use the save button. This will be one you'll probably use every time you look at an invoice as an approver, because it's the approve button. This is where you would approve the invoice. You can also approve and comment. For board members, I don't think that one is probably as useful as it is to us, because sometimes we have to comment to a different team member to do something with the invoice. But let's say you want to approve it, but you have questions, you can approve and comment. So when I approve and comment, it would automatically populate a comment field and send, so I can send a comment. You can skip to the next invoice in your queue. That's what the skip does. You can create a report of this specific invoice. Haven't really figured out the importance of that one yet, but you never know. If you wanted just this invoice, you could do that. The more holds the key to the wonderful dispute button right here. So let's say you have an invoice. You don't want to approve it because the work's not done. Well, then I would definitely dispute it. Just don't forget about it. And then it prompts you instantly to log a comment on why you're disputing the invoice. It doesn't necessarily say why, but that would be the intent of it. And you can send it to someone or not. If you want a response from someone, I would definitely make sure you're sending it to them. That's one of the things I've seen with comments where it's like, well, I sent you a comment, and then I look it up and it's like, yeah, you didn't actually send it to me. So make sure that if you do want it to go to someone, you are putting in that email address. So I can cancel my dispute and not dispute that invoice. I have other things in here, like I have the void button. You won't have that. You'll have assign a workflow and assign an ad hoc approver. You as a board approver will probably never use those. I mean, if you do, I can't even think of a case where you would need to off the top of my head.
What about if you were to go on vacation and needed bills to be paid? Would this be an area for that?
It would not. So if you go on vacation as a board member and you don't have access to internet or don't want to approve invoices while you're on vacation, because as long as you have access to the internet, you have access to Avid, but everybody needs time away. So you would just let the manager know what dates you're going to be gone and who's going to be approving on your behalf. And then actually as an admin, we're the only ones that can set proxy approvers for board members, because there's a couple of things I check for and make sure are in place before we set up that person as a proxy approver. They have to be on the bank signature card. There's a few things that I just double check for, make sure they have the right authority and everything like that. So if you are going to go out of town, you need someone to approve for you, just let your manager know what dates and they'll get it to me and I'll take care of it. You can always just let me know if you really want to, but either way is fine. If I'm not available, then Denise Bauer, our president, is my backup. So we were never allowed to be separated, gone at the same time. So one of us will be able to help you. So that's kind of Avid in a nutshell. In terms of everything, there's probably so much more I could tell you about Avid. I'll take some questions, and then if you're up for it, I will jump over to the web portal. Let me check chat really quick. Okay, so I had a question of where is the dispute button? It's under more. And then down here, it will say dispute with that exclamation point.
I think maybe what the problem is, like on mine, all of the images of the people attending are in a column on the right, right where that button is.
Oh no, let me, I don't know how to,
Well, anybody who wants to see what you're doing, just put your cursor at the top of the people, and then drag it to the left, and you can see what she's doing.
did that work for you, Dave? The
Works
other
for
one?
me.
The other
Yeah.
one?
Ah.
Dave
Yes,
Quinn?
it worked. Yeah, it works for me.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Good to see you, Dave. I missed you
Thank
last
you.
week.
Good to see you too.
All right, did I hear, I think I heard a Carra. Here, let me, no, maybe? Trying to look at all of your faces. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions on Avid, I'm going to jump over to the CMI web portal. Now, if you have questions on Avid later, we can always come back.
Can I ask one question? I might have,
course.
I had to mute, I had to step away for a minute. Is there a way to approve an invoice, and then if it was a mistake, is there a way to take it out?
So once you've approved the invoice, it goes to the next person in the queue. You would need to log a comment to your manager, and they can actually reset the approval.
Okay, cool. So we don't, when you say queue, I mean, like, I remember you saying there's like, maybe
Your
like.
approval queue.
Yes, but if like on my board, if we're all equal,
Mhm.
it does go to the manager even after we approve it.
So the
No matter-
next person in line for you, unless it's over 15,000, is accounting. So after the board is our accounting team.
Perfect. So if we make a mistake, we just comment to them, we made a mistake, please just like, please pass it back or something.
Yeah, so, and
Okay.
I would do it to your manager as opposed to accounting, because if
Oh,
you
okay,
figure
okay.
out which accountant's yours, I'll be impressed.
Okay, yeah, I don't even know. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so always just kind of, if you have any questions, your manager's the best place to go, or myself. I'm always happy to help too. If
Okay,
you,
wonderful.
you know, if we need to restart the workflow so that we can get it out of accounting so they don't pay it, because the minute it gets, it's not that the minute it gets to accounting, it gets paid, because we only do payables on the 9th and the 24th,
Yeah,
or
okay.
those interim ones for utilities.
Mhm,
So there is a potential for us to stop it if
Totally.
you accidentally approved it, or if one of the other board members approved it and it wasn't supposed to be approved.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. And in that case, maybe the dispute button might be your friend, you know, when you have multiple board members in your queue. Something to maybe look at though for your particular association is to maybe pick one person to be the point person and have them approve. And then if you're not available, or if you can't pick it up that day, then maybe, you know, someone like Chad can step in or something along those lines.
Yes, I will consider that. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry. I know that was a little situational. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing for 30 seconds to flip us over to the other one. And I can see all of your lovely faces. Hello. All right. And CMI's website. So there are two ways that you can access the portal. You can access it through our main website, our communitymgt.com, or you can access the web portal communitymgtportal.com. That will take you directly to the portal page. But I wanted to go here because I wanted to show you that nice little bubble that I talked about earlier. Oh, look at it right there. Yay. It exists. So web portal, we'll go here and it'll take us to the main screen. Potentially. Here it goes. I have it memorized on my computer, but If you don't have a login to the web portal, just let your manager know. It's super easy for us to issue you a new one, or if you haven't gotten one at all, get you one, or if you had one but you don't remember, we can get you another one. It's really easy in our software to do that. So
Question.
sign in. Yes.
So I have it set up so it knows that that it's me, and it takes me directly to our portal. So it bypasses that board training thing.
Yeah. You can set that up automatically. It's a computer thing, not a CMI webpage thing. But you can set up your computer to do that. Yeah.
So is there a way to get to the training thing from our association?
Like from your web portal?
Yeah.
I don't believe so, but let me look
Okay.
into that. You would have to, because it's on the CMI main page. That would probably be the easiest way. Just go to the main page, and you can. I think you can get to the main page from here. I actually don't know. What? It doesn't say. So before I log in, I actually want to show you something, because not a lot of associations take advantage of this, but we have this open facing information. So public documents or public announcements. I don't think anyone uses the public announcements, but public documents, we have a handful of associations that have their documents on a, I'm going to just show you this particular associate. So they have their declarations and bylaws available to anyone who accesses our site. So if they go to this particular page, they don't need a login or anything like that. They can access this particular association's legal document. So if you'd like to be added to this list, just let your manager know. It's super easy to do. You just have to let us know what to add. So some have a lot, some have a little, just depends on what you would like to include. This one has a lot.
Why would
There.
you want to add this?
So one of the major questions that we get from a lot of associations and realtors is, what are the governing documents of the association? So this is a pretty easy way to just have that information available. It won't have, like, I wouldn't suggest putting financial information on this particular open site, but at least you're like, if you wanted your legal documents, maybe your rules and regulations available to any potential buyer or realtor, that's, a pretty handy tool if you wanted it. You don't have to have
Did you
it.
get to it?
Yeah, so let me go back, I'll show you. So I'm on the login page for the web portal. And then right here, it says looking for public facing information. Check here for your association's public documents. And you just click on that and it takes you to the different associations. There's
Thank
actually
you.
not that many that take advantage of this, but it is something that you can add. Lots of talking. Whew. All right, so we're going to log into the portal. And when we log into the portal, we're going to see what this little thing over here says, but you guys are in the way, so I'm going to move you. Oh, no, thank you. Okay. Oh, I have to select an association. Who do we want to pick on? I normally always pick the Avenue because they typically have a good site. I'm going to pick Atwater. Anyone from Atwater here? Theirs is really cool. So that's what we're going to pick on them for. So when you log in, this is kind of your home screen. So this is, again, in order to access this site, you have to be an owner and you have to have credentials through our software. So this is a, member only kind of access. And I'll show you why in a minute, because it does have specific account information on it. So you do kind of want it to be that way. So we can kind of put anything on this homepage. It's like a big Word document. We can also put links to things, like if you wanted to put like a website that you can get information on local things from here, we can do different things like that as well. And then we can put anything in here. We normally always have the admin or our management team, and then our web portal. Our webmaster is Jesse. He can also help you with anything relative to the web portal. He's great. And then anything else that you kind of want. We always try to throw in a few pictures so that you know, it's kind of fun. So that's the home page. Registration. This is where, so when we generate the username from our system, it's like crazy. It's typically your first and last name smushed together, and then the password is a whole bunch of letters and numbers that make absolutely no sense. So if you wanted to update your username to something that maybe you use periodically or for other sites so you remember what it is, you can change that here. Same thing with your password. You can also, under registration, update your contact information. And I'm going to go to this page because I want to show you a couple things about this. So, of course, I'm not a member of this community, so I don't have any information here, but it would have name and address, phone numbers, email, and that kind of thing. So you can't change your name, but you can change your mailing address, your phone numbers, and your email, all from here. So once you've changed it, you can save it, and it will save the updates into our system. Now, I'm going to show you in a minute the members directory, but over here is where you could update the information that is seen in the members directory. So if you wanted members to see your mailing address or your email or your phone numbers, you can select what information is viewed to your members, not publicly, just to your members. Because remember, they have to have a login in order to access the site. I have sent out a handful of notices to communities reminding members that, you know, if you're not in the directory or if you need to update, then this is where you do. So there is a notice that we can send out. You can register a vehicle. This tells you which ones you have on file, so you can edit and remove, and then you can add a new one, or you can just email us and we'll do it for you. But if you wanted to check and see what you had, you can. So that's registration. Under Connect, we have the bulletin board. There are currently no announcements on the bulletin board. That's pretty typical. You'll kind of see that the bulletin board, I've seen associations use it for more like if you're going to have a community-wide garage sale, or if you're going to do something like that to where you wanted a notice to be posted on the web portal for everyone. But I don't think it gets used as often as it should. If there's anything you want us to post on the bulletin board, we can. It keeps the records for as long as time, you know, as long as this portal is around. So if you wanted to have updates on certain different, you know, reminders of rules, you could put that on the bulletin board if you want. I will say that not a lot of people go on the web portal, at least not as much as I hoped that there would. So I wouldn't use it as your only source of communication. Yes, Crystal.
Right. Can I ask a quick question, Carra?
In just a second, I called on
Okay.
Crystal first.
Sure.
All right, yeah.
Sorry.
I was just, no, it's okay, don't worry. I was just gonna ask, if you do post something on this bulletin board, is there a way that it would kind of push out to the community, like to their emails listed and say like, there's a new announcement? So because you're right, people don't log in necessarily, but maybe they would log in to look at the announcement if there was like a push feature. Do you know if that's possible?
There is not a push feature, but for us to send out an email is just too easy than it is to push people to the web portal.
Okay.
Because it's actually less clicks than it is to post something to the
True.
web portal.
Yeah.
So
No worries. Thank you.
that's a really good idea though, and I will pass that along to FullFocus.
Okay.
And then was it Vicky that had a question? Who?
No, it's Mary Beth. I apologize.
Mary Beth, hi.
I was busy responding to an email that involved our community manager, so forgive me if I missed something, but do we have basic instructions that we can provide our owners? Because I think you're right. I think a lot of people don't visit the portal, but I think you're telling me there are things that we can be more interactive with that I had no idea. Like I didn't know we could post stuff to the bulletin board, for example.
Yeah, we have actually a pretty standard article that we have about the website or the web
Okay.
portal, sorry, that we can send out to any community on like how to use it, you know, what information's on it. We have a pretty, it's edible too. So if you wanted to add more
Okay.
to it, we do have an article that the manager can, send to the board as a draft and then let us know if there's any edits you want to make. But we do have a standard article for it.
Perfect.
How do we
Thank
get
you.
that sent?
Just talk to your manager, or Carolyn, you can email me.
You're too nice.
Well, you have my cell phone number. You can text me too if you want. All right, calendar. So calendar has a couple of different things that I'm going to tell you about. One, if you don't have anything that homeowners can reserve, you probably don't need to talk too much about the calendar. But Mary Beth, do you have a clubhouse at your association? Oh, no.
No, we do not.
Okay. I was going to say, so if you have like a clubhouse, or I have associations that have like guest suites, or we have one that has a terrace that they can like rent out. I know Dave's has a big clubhouse with several different rooms. So we can manage that through this software. And this would be where homeowners could go online and see if those amenities are available. I think this one has, yeah. So they have here, so the Atwater, we're going to pick on them, uses theirs to they have a lot of committees. They're a fairly large high rise, so. And then, so they keep all of their meetings on their calendar. For most associations, you probably don't have this many meetings in a month for anything. And so while we do add your board meeting to this calendar as soon as we know the date, it's probably the only thing you'll see on this calendar unless you have things to reserve or different stuff like that. And then typically over here in the facilities, you can select different ones. I might choose a different association so you can see that. And then here's the members directory I was talking about. So you can do by address or by name. I'm going to show you both just so you can see the difference. So this particular association, I'm not going to go too far because I don't want to disclose anyone's information, is so this is kind of what you see. So this one's by address. So it's kind of going in numerical order by unit number down. And so they don't have anything disclosed. And so this is kind of one of those things that you brought up, Mary Beth, about trying to get owners to use the web portal. Is this is a great way to store information so that if you are like, oh, I want to get a hold of that neighbor, you can look here and see that information. Now, I will say, as a board member, you have more access. You have everyone's contact information, which I'll show you in a minute. But as just a regular homeowner, this would be the directory that they have. So I know some associations keep a completely separate directory on their own, which is fine. But if you wanted something that was under our umbrella, this would be where we would suggest that be held. And we would just encourage owners to register to put their information on the directory. Yes, Mary
Question.
Beth.
So
Oh,
but
sorry, Dave.
as a board, we cannot edit that directory. Is that correct?
That's correct. This is actually the only people who can edit this directory are the people themselves. So if the homeowner wants to have their information viewed, they're the ones who have to select that they want their information viewed. Now,
Okay.
like I said, there is a place for, as a board member, you have access to everyone's information,
Right.
which I'll show you in a minute. Dave?
One of the things that would be nice is if this was searchable.
Yes, I agree. We made that request. Waiting on it.
Okay.
I'm going to show you the other directory, which is by name. So, and it's by last name. If you know it. This particular association has, I think, 200 and something units. So trying to look for a particular name. I agree with you on the searchable. What I have done, or what I've suggested for owners who've asked that question, is save it as a PDF. And then if you have the ability, you can search PDFs. And that.
Oh, just a control F will work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of always been my suggestion if you're trying that way. Board of directors. So this will show who's on the board and when the term is expired. It must be, yeah. It's gonna
Kara?
say, Should show. Yes, Tracy.
Back in the member directory, there is a way to, there, you can do a search. There's the
Oh,
little or binoculars
let me look. Let me look.
on the far left there.
Hey, look at that. We're all learning together. Let's see. I know a couple of names here. Yeah, look at that, Dave. Tracy figured it out for you. Thanks, Tracy.
You betcha.
That's why I keep you all around. No, I'm kidding. And then, so that was the board of directors list. This is the committee list. So if you wanted to have your committees all listed, that can be done here. I'm not sure why the term expiring isn't showing, but payments. So you can set up auto pay. This will basically just take you to the ClickPay website. And then, or you can view your account status and history. And this is why I said that, that's kind of the reasons why we have a password protection, is because you can literally see all of your account details here. Now, one thing I will let you know is it's not a live feed. It's updated on the 6th, the 16th, and the 26th of every month of the month. So we are working to get a live feed, but it's not going to be on the web portal. It's going to be on ClickPay. Made it a little bit more sense to have it there, since that's where the payments and everything were made. So, but this is a way to get some account history. If you want something a little bit quicker, just email us. Our accounting team can send you your general ledger pretty quick. Services, you can submit a service request, or you can view past service requests. Now, unfortunately, my login isn't going to show you past ones, but this is what the service request form looks like. And they can add attachments. That was added a couple of years ago. It was very exciting. They can select from the different topics and their priority, and then whatever message they want to include. And they don't have to fill any of this information out, because we already have it in the software. So it just goes directly to us. And what's really great about doing service requests this way is that it automatically logs the request into our software.
So I should be doing things this way rather than emailing or calling Caleb or David.
You can continue to email and call David. I would say this is something I would push for the homeowners as opposed to a board member.
Okay.
So if they wanted to report something is out, or something needs to be fixed, or anything, or a violation, this would probably be the best way to do it. But you can always just email us directly. It's just another way to communicate with us. We're giving you so many options. But what I like about it is the ability to look at your past requests. So if you've made a request in the system and you wanted to see the status of it, this is where you could go to check that status. So documents, we got it by folder and by date. I'm going to show you folder, and then I'll show you date. Oh no. All right, let's pick on somebody else. Who do I want to pick on? Oh, I saw embassy. My lovely ladies at the embassy. Ah, such a good picture. Okay, documents. Now, we can make any folder name you want. So if you want to group a whole bunch of documents into one folder that are specific to maybe a plumbing project, we can do that. We can make a folder that says plumbing project and put everything that you want there. So we can also edit any of these folders. We can create additional subfolders. Oh no, that one doesn't have it. This one will. So additional subfolders. Wow, you guys go all the way back to 2007 minutes. Woo. It's a lot of minutes. So this is kind of by folder and by tree. And this is the way that I suggest those that are selling their units to kind of try to pull documents, because you can just kind of go through your little list and then go through the different folders and just pull things as you need them. If you want something that's a little bit more searchable, we'll go to date. So we'll look at documents by date. And then here we have the ability to search. And so we can search up all of the minutes. And so now I have access to all of the minutes. And I can select multiple, there it goes. I can select multiple documents. And I can open all of my selected documents. So I'm opening up everything at once. So again, this is really great for those that need them for either refinancing or selling their homes. You can kind of pull them up in a good fell swoop and open them all up. And they open up as PDFs. I'm not going to do it because it slows down the computer a little bit. So, but that is kind of what this. So they can look for search by text. And if the document is OCR'd, it will literally search the entire document for that text. And we try to OCR all of our documents, which means basically they're searchable.
Carra, one of the issues is opening the select document doesn't actually open it.
It downloads it.
Oh yeah, it downloads it. Yeah.
So my question is, has there been any inquiry about actually making these openable when they're clicked on?
No, but I will make that request.
It would be,
Because yeah, you're right. Even when because you can double click on them and it will open them, but
only once they're downloaded.
you're right. It just downloads it. It doesn't actually open it up.
No.
That may be so that it cannot be edited.
But they're PDFs.
But if it's just a view, I don't know, but I'll ask. All right, so that's kind of the generic view that the homeowners get. And then we have this fancy dancy little thing over here called the board only. That's your tab as board members. I'm gonna come back to this one. I'm gonna start with the members listing. So this is where you have access either by, sorry, I gotta move y'all. Either by address or by name. You can look at the members directory, and this will have, everybody's information. Close your eyes. You did not see all these people's information. Or you can do it by address, by name, board documents. So this is where we put the full financial statement. Online, we only put the abbreviated that has basically the balance sheet and the income statements, because we don't want to send out the collection report or the delinquency report and your bank statements, because that has the bank account information on it. So we condense that into a smaller version on the main portal with the members, and then you as a board member have access to the full financial statement. Any other kind of special things, all of your portals should have board education on them. And this is just basically a bunch of documents that you could use and reference as a board member. This board member basic is done by an organization called CAI, which stands for Community Association Institute. They're a worldwide organization for education for community associations, so condominiums and homeowners associations. And so it's a really, it's 106 pages or something like that. It's a lot of info, but there's basically a guide, a table of contents that you can kind of jump around to, but I have used it in a lot of trainings and it's very helpful. Just so you have, and then this portal, this side of the portal can have anything you want in it. I've seen some, we have CMI rates on here. 2022 should be going up soon. Proposals and contracts. It has some, we can put as much information on there that you want to have access to. And Vicki will add more contracts because that's clearly not enough. Anything you want. Oh, I clicked something. Oh, shoot. I can't actually. Sorry.
You were done.
If only for whatever reason, the little thing is going to, I did want to show you one more thing and then yes, we will be, I'll take any other questions on either topic and then we can be done. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. I love technical difficulties. All right, there we go. Whatever reason, I must have clicked that. Okay, so status reports. So you're going to really want to be able to see this side over here. So you may have to move all of us to where you can see the different options. There's 4 different options, to be honest. You can choose any one of them and you can jump back and forth between all of them once you get in there. So we'll go here. And this allows you to search. Vicki, are you okay that I'm showing this? All right, perfect. I'll try to keep everything as hidden as humanly possible. We'll stick with note boxes. I won't show violations. So we can do the last 3 months. We can do year to date. We can do the last 12 months. We can do all of the above, which is basically everything, and kind of see what's open or in progress or closed or both open and closed. We can search by property, by category, or by vendor. These options, I think they change if you go into, let me look. So for work orders, yeah, property, category, vendor. So they slightly change. But this is where you can kind of see everything in our software in terms of what we call action items. That's the way it's listed in our software, is action items. So you can see, well, you got a very long one for, oh, plumbing. We don't want that one. Oh, here we go. Monitor a move-in. So we can see that it was opened at this date. It's for this person. It's for a move-in. Here's the vendor. Now, nothing else has happened, probably because the move-in happened in October. So we should have gotten billed for it already. Let me see. Let's see, this one has a bill. So you see how this one has, so it was paid by this invoice number. It was this amount and it was received on this day. So when you go in here, you can kind of track the work order progress. And it's the same thing with like note boxes. You can kind of see if there's a particular property that you want to check. You can't really search by that particular property, but you can search. So like I can go by property. And then I can see that it has all of the common area ones here. And so I can look at all of the work orders that were issued to the common area. Or if I was looking for something for unit 101, then I can find it here. So this will give you all the reports. Now, if I wanted, you can see a detailed report. Oh, where'd it go?
By the way, when you said it's not searchable, you can do a Control F in there.
It's not working for me, but maybe you can. I'm trying to find the pop-up. I don't know why. My pop-up went away. So you do have to have pop-ups available because it pops up. I think maybe it's because this is in the way. There we go. Oh yeah, my pop-ups are blocked. All right, now let's see if this works. I don't know, can you see what popped up? The job report? Here, let me see if I can show you this way. How about now?
Yes.
Perfect. So this one particularly doesn't have a lot of information on it, but you can see the description and some of the information this way. Honestly, violations is probably my favorite one when it comes to these reports because it does give you a lot more information. So if you're trying to look at violation information, the web portal is a lot better. or architectural review changes. That's also really easy through here too. I don't even know. You guys might not have any.
Oh.
You probably have violations. Yeah. Maybe. Not in the last 3 months. Wow. You guys are doing good over there. Let me expand this search parameter and see if I can find a few. There we go. So I can select a few different violations and run I don't know if you saw that, a grid listing report, which basically takes all of this and makes it a separate pop-up. So you can see all of them in multiple phases. And then you can do this for work orders, for for our note boxes, for architectural modifications. You can pull it all up this way. And kind of see everything.
Mine doesn't seem to work.
So check and make sure that your pop-ups aren't blocked, because
Oh, okay.
mine wasn't working because my pop-ups weren't blocked.
Okay.
So it does require the pop-ups to be unblocked for that page.
And how do you do that?
So for me, I was able to go up here to the address bar, and I had a little lock sign here with a little X on it, which is telling me that my
Oh, you're right.
pop-ups were blocked.
Got it.
And I was able to click it and undo them. So
Perfect.
great. Well, that's kind of our web portal in a nutshell. I will take any questions that you have, and then I'll turn you loose.
How often are these work order things updated?
It's all a live feed directly from our software.
Okay.
So as we're updating the information in our software, I think it might take a minute or two to get to the web portal, but yeah, it's all live.
So we have a lot of open stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave because I'm brain dead.
Okay, Carolyn, you have a great night.
I've taken pages of notes and I'm glad it's recorded. Thank you.
Right. All right. Well, if you have any questions, you can always let me know. Our next training is going to be in March, and it's going to be on insurance.
Ugh.
Ooh.
So
Hey.
one question I have is, when every once in a while you need your unit number,
Mm-hmm.
might be for insurance or whatever and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't find it on here.
Your unit number?
Yeah.
You should be able to just go to registration and my contact info. Do you mean your account number?
The unit number. So like, for example, in our case, 202 is the Tanis
Your
Brook.
account number. Yes, we do not have the account number on the web portal. You know, I don't know why. That's a good question. I think I accidentally clicked on click pay. My bad. Yeah, I'm not seeing. Oh, I did it again. There we go. I don't think it would be here, to be honest with you.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that would be the only place I would think that it would be. Oh, I'll look into it and see if there's a way to get it on there. But most associations, it's easy to figure out. It's typically our property number, your unit number. There might
But
be a
if you
zero.
don't know your unit number, you have your address, but you don't have your unit number. And that's what you're trying to find.
Yeah, well, Dave, yours is different because it's Tanis Brook, and you guys don't actually have like unit 101 and unit. Yours is a little special because yours actually goes by your lot number as opposed to a unit number. So yours is a little bit different, but you're right. It is very tricky for your association. Was he like, Tracy's? Hers is easy because it's she has to do is add her 3 little digit unit number at the end of 211 and she's good. But, well,
this is
thank.
very helpful, Kara.
Oh, thanks, Tracy. Here, I'll stop sharing. Well, thank you all for sticking it out to the end.
Thank you.
And we'll have this video available. In fact, I'll stop the recording.